Hey everyone, welcome to episode 273 of the All Dolphins podcast on this Wednesday, April 24th.
Hello, boys and girls.
Hi,
Cool cats and kittens.
Today is 4/24/24. Look at the calendar, it's 4/24/24.
Okay.
Tomorrow
cool.
is 4/25/24, and it's the first day of the 2024 NFL draft, and we'll get to the All Dolphins podcast mock draft, or kind of sort of mock draft.
Kind of sort of. Some of us got lazy. No.
Yeah, something like that. But first,
level your head, please.
Oh, geez, you
Thank you.
So demanding. We're going to start with a quick history lesson for you boys and girls who like those. Yay. For those of you who don't, sorry. It happens to be a good one today because in terms of the 73rd overall selection, Dolphins have made 6 in their history. 73rd overall selection, episode 273. And there are some good ones. I mean, there's not one. Well, there's one name here that kind of doesn't belong. But here's the list. Most recently, Jerome Baker, 73rd overall pick in 2018. 2016, 73rd overall pick was Kenyon Drake out of Alabama, who was part of an absolutely crazy run, which is actually very cool. Between 2016 and 2022, Omar Kelly, were you aware the Dolphins selected at least one player from the college national champion? 7 consecutive drafts. How about that? Kenyon Drake, followed by Cordray Tankersley, followed by Minkah Fitzpatrick, followed by Christian Wilkins, followed by Blake Ferguson, followed by 2021 was, and am I gonna freeze on it? Jalen Waddle. And then 2022 was Georgia Channing Tindall. How about that?
Did you gather this information on your own?
I did.
Look at you. That's pretty damn good.
Well, if you look at the Dolphins draft roundup, and you kind of see it happening. Even before that, so in 2010, 73rd overall pick, John Jerry, guard from Ole Miss, who was a longtime NFL starter, even though he didn't necessarily make a tremendous impact with the Dolphins, but then he went on to the New York Giants and also the Bengals, I want to say, and was a longtime starter. I'm going to save the best for last. The year I forget, in the 80s, Farrell Edmonds, tight end, whose 3 sons wound up playing in the NFL, including Tremaine Edmonds, who was a very good linebacker, once with the Bills, now with the Bears. Farrell Edmonds, who holds the distinction of being the first Dolphin tight end selected to the Pro Bowl.
Okay.
One of only 2, unless I'm severely mistaken. Keith Jackson's the other one.
Okay, I'm about to say.
And then in 1968, third round, 73rd overall pick was Dick Anderson, who's one of the best defensive players in Dolphin history, borderline Hall of Famer, maybe. Defensive Player of the Year in 1973. Again, another 73 connection. And last but not least, in 1997, with the 73rd overall pick, the Dolphins selected a very lanky, skinny defensive end from Akron, Jason Taylor, 73rd overall pick.
Hall of Famer, University of Miami defensive line coach.
And Jimmy Johnson tells a story. It's actually very cool that he loved Sam Madison and he loved Jason Taylor. And when it came to his pick in the second round, he figured more people were onto Sam Madison than Jason Taylor. So let me go ahead and take Madison in the second, which he did. And then Taylor was there for the taking in the third round. And the rest is history.
I know who's the 74th pick for tomorrow. John Jerry?
What?
John Jerry was the 74th pick, right?
Oh, John Jerry was the 73rd pick.
Damn. Oh, my bad.
He was on the list. I just named him.
I wasn't.
Okay.
Paid.
No. Wow. Rude. Okay. And all complaints care of Kelly, Omar. Before we tackle our All Dolphins podcast mock draft selections, both individual, let's talk very quickly about some news involving a former Dolphin player, and actually a very good Dolphin player, part of one of the greatest trades in team history, an absolute steal. Oh, absolute steal. Reggie Bush, who is getting his Heisman Trophy back after it was taken away from him in 2010 because the NCAA decided that since he had quote unquote received what's the term?
Allegedly received extra
benefit. Yeah, right. Like he didn't. Like he didn't, but it's not like he was the only one. Can we be honest about this? But anyway, he's getting his Heisman Trophy back as well. He should. So good for him.
Yeah. Reggie has been one of my favorite Dolphins players to cover. He's part of the reason why I generally try not to judge people until I get to meet them, because everything you knew about Reggie from TMZ and Instagram and social media didn't even come close to how good of a guy he was, how caring he was, how great of a leader he was, how much he wasn't a diva. And he just did, how much he's a family man. It was so night and day in terms of the public perception of Reggie. And we actually did an interview with him on the now defunct I Am Athlete podcast. And that was the first interview where he basically was talking about his Heisman being taken from him and wanting it back, and all the allegations that were never proven, according to him, and the people who conspired to try to shake him down and then collaborated with the NCAA in order to punish USC, and allegedly all of the lies that were told. But he was very adamant and very stern on the fact that he wanted his name cleared and he wanted his Heisman back. And that's one of the main reasons why platforms like I'm Athlete and The Pivot, all of the smoke and player-driven platforms and podcasts have really taken off, because athletes feel more comfortable talking to other athletes about sensitive situations like that. But then there's people like the All Dolphins podcast, and we do a damn good job too.
We love us. We love
Devon Best came on, revealed, there's still some hurt, centering around how his Dolphins career came to an end, and the issues that he had with mental illness and battles with mental illness, depression, and that was a phenomenal podcast. I strongly encourage everybody to go check that out. We did some great podcasts together. And I want to thank you for that, Alan Poupard. But right now we want to get into our—
Hold on, before we leave Reggie Bush.
Oh, go ahead.
Before we leave Reggie Bush, quick trivia question, very quickly. See if he's— well, you don't know your Dolphin history, so you want to— sorry, no offense, but Reggie Bush is one of 5 Dolphin players to rush for 200 yards in a single game. That includes 1 playoff game as well, including playoffs. Can you name the other 4? Very quickly. It makes for boring viewing. Lamar Smith is 1.
Ricky Williams
is 2.
Reggie Bush. J.J.
Okay, and then there was 1 more.
I'm messing them. I'm not gonna. Oh, Larry Zonka.
Who?
Larry Zonka.
No, you should be slapped if you don't remember it.
Who?
You can't get it. Who? It happened last year, dude.
Who ran for 200 last year?
Devon Achane against the Denver Broncos.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Okay.
I get every one but the one that happened last.
I know, it's the most recent. So there it is. That's your list. The 5 Dolphin players.
Hey, man. You know what's funny? Of everything that the Dolphins accomplished last year, like, I forgot what Achane did. Like, Achane was like the dessert at the end of like dinner. He was such a—
really? No, he had so many big plays. You just remember them. Like he had when he had, was it like 76 yards in the fourth quarter of that game, and then he had he had 2 like really, really long runs that got him to 203. And interesting enough, so it's Jay Ajayi with 3 200-yard games. Ricky had 2 and 1 each for Reggie Bush, Devon Achane, and Lamar Smith in the playoff game the last time the Dolphins won.
I thought you were trying to stump me with Lamar Smith, and here I am forgetting Devon Achane. Look at that. I was like, I knew Lamar Smith.
Okay. Our kind of sort of pseudo All Dolphins podcast mock draft. Omar and I both use the Pro Football Network mock draft simulator, so hat tip to them. We operated on the same rules of we were not allowed to make trades, even though every time
However, we did write down the trade. We're not allowed to make trades. However, we did write down the trades, and we will possibly discuss some of these trade scenarios.
Okay.
Because I certainly was tempted a couple of times, even though the rules were the rules. You want me to start?
They're your rules, and they're bad rules, but such as life. Go ahead. You can start.
So obviously sticking at 21, I had 2 trade offers. The Colts allegedly offered me 46, 82, 117, and a 2025 Colts second-round draft pick. That drops me down to the first round, which is absolutely a no for me. So that was not considered. And then I also had the Chiefs come at me and offer me 32, 64, and 159. Now, if I would have dropped from 21 to 32, it would have put me back into the end of the second round, which is basically the equivalent of a third-round selection. I was tempted about that, and 159 would have put me back into the 5th. I was tempted about that trade, but I liked the player that was available to me. I liked the selection of players that were available to me. I had both of the defensive tackles in terms of Newton and Murphy, who were on my radar. I had some of the guard players, BB, Jackson Powers Johnson, none of the tackles that I would have considered. And just about the LSU wide receiver and the Texas wide receiver. I selected Byron Murphy.
Which Texas wide receiver? Because there's 2 of them. Worthy or Donna Mitchell?
Worthy.
So
Worthy.
he wasn't worthy.
He wasn't worthy.
He wasn't worthy of your selection.
And Brian Thompson Jr., who I definitely would consider ahead of Xavier Worthy. Brian Thompson Jr. happened to be the highest rated player on that PF and on that Pro Football Network board at the time. Newton was actually rated higher than Murphy, but I personally feel more comfortable with Newton as opposed to with Murphy as opposed to Newton. I like Newton. I think he's a penetrator. However, I feel with Zach Sealer, you need a gap filler. And then in the second round, I got really excited.
We're not going like this. You're going to go your full draft.
Okay. Do you think? Let's go.
Yeah,
do you think?
I like that better this way. So for me, I had 3 trade offers, and I apologize. I didn't write down the teams. I just wrote down the offers. So it was one of them. One of the offers was to go down from 21 to 27 to pick up pick 66, which is the 3rd pick in the 3rd round. And if that happens in real life, and I'm Chris Greer, I say thank you very much. Yes, we got a deal. Would love that. The other one was 21 and the Dolphins' 5th round pick, which is 158, for 26, which is not a big drop, 5 spots, and pick 57, which is late in the 2nd round, which also is another one I would do like that, particularly if when I'm going to run down the list of all the players who were there at 21.
Bro, the second trade is better than the first trade.
Yeah, except the only difference, you surrender your 5th round pick, but not a big deal.
Oh, I got to give up my 5th? Oh, okay. Throw it in.
Okay, and the 3rd one was 21 and the 5th round pick, 158, for picks 36 and 40, which are 2 fairly early in the 2nd round. That one I wouldn't like as much because that's too big of a drop. Okay, so having said that, the 6 players who were on the board who were intriguing, the 6 highest rated players who were on the board were Latu, the edge defender from UCLA, as Omar is like,
what?
That means he wasn't available for you, I take it, right?
No, he was not.
Okay. See, Byron Murphy wasn't available for me. Amarius Mims, the big tackle from Georgia. Jerjon Newton, the defensive tackle.
And he's a right tackle, right?
Correct. I do know that. But your quarterback's a lefty.
Still got
Johnny Newton, the defensive tackle from Illinois, who you picked. Nate Wiggins, cornerback from Clemson. And I will say something about Clemson. I looked at their history. Look at, and I don't put a ton of stock into this, but if you look at their history of highly drafted defensive backs in the NFL, it is not good. And I'll give you another one like that. That's not good. Alabama offensive linemen. For the most part, there are a lot more Evan Neal, Alex Leatherwood, There's a lot more whiffs than there are hits. Like Landon Dickerson in the second round by the Eagles was a hit, but there's a lot more whiffs than hits. Again.
And I do believe in school history. So I do believe in school history and pedigree.
To a certain degree, yeah, I mean, it's not an end-all be-all because there's always going to be like a first one. For example, Texas Tech quarterbacks were supposed to suck, and then Patrick Mahomes comes to the NFL, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say he doesn't suck.
Ohio State quarterbacks are supposed to suck, and C.J. Stroud might be a top 5 player in the league right now.
There you go.
After a phenomenal rookie season.
You are like this with the dude.
Listen, you told me about him last year, and I hadn't watched his game, and then he won Rookie of the Year, and NFL Network started playing his games back to back and back to back and back to back, and I was stuck. I was like, holy crap, this kid is good.
Dude can play. The other 2 guys who were there were Cooper DeJean, the highly, highly interesting Iowa DB, played cornerback in college. Most NFL analysts nationally have him as a safety in the NFL. Graham Barton,
Cooper,
the
keep hope alive.
Sorry?
Cooper, keep hope alive. Power to the keep hope alive. The death of the white cornerback.
Keep hope alive with. Okay, what's that to do with the white cornerback? I don't get it. I mean,
they're extinct. They're extinct in the NFL, or they're
I understand that. Okay.
So Cooper's part of the comeback.
Except he might play safety in the NFL. So anyway,
still safety's dead. They're nearly extinct too.
Okay, and then Graham Barton, the offensive lineman from Duke, who is mocked in a lot of places to the Dolphins. My only issue with Barton is everybody. Again, every draft analyst will tell you his best position in the NFL is center. In a pinch, he can play tackle. And Aaron Brewer will tell you his best position is center. And he's signed for 3 years, and he's got money guaranteed for 2. Kind of redundant to me. That's why I didn't stay there.
If Graham Barton is there and none of my picks are there, Graham Barton, in my mind, is one of the safest offensive linemen in this draft. I looked at him at tackle. I looked at him at guard. Plays with punch, plays with power. If that's a selection for the Miami Dolphins, I love it. I love it because he can be an immediate starter for this team. I'm not saying that he could be your future left tackle, but he could start at 4 of the 5 positions on your offensive line and maybe 5 of the 5. I love it. I absolutely love Graham Barton.
Okay, well, this was my pick, damn it. So okay.
Okay. All right.
I didn't pick Graham Barton. I'm very intrigued.
Who did you pick? I know who you picked.
Hold on. Very, very intrigued by DeJean because he, to me, could be the Kyle Hamilton replica for the Dolphins.
Or Javon Holland could be the Kyle Hamilton replica for the Miami Dolphins.
Is he physical enough? DeJean is more physical. Okay. I went high end, and I understand there's a slight medical risk, and obviously this is assuming, I'm going to assume that every team has done their medical research on him, and he's now red flagged. It would be Latu, who's the one who comes in and makes an immediate impact, and you can never have.
And how does he fit into this team? How does he fit into this scheme?
He's an edge defender. Go get the quarterback. See quarterback. Go get quarterback. And again, you can never have enough edge defenders. And he's a pick who's going to help you immediately while Chubb and Phillips get right, and he's also going to help you
keep the cost down.
Possibly.
All right. Okay.
If he completely balls out, he's going to be a hell of a lot less expensive than Bradley Chubb come 2025 and 2026. That is for sure. Second round.
You want to go first? Or you want me to rock it?
Okay, I'll go first this one.
All right.
Guess what? I had another trade offer. This one from the Houston Texans offered to trade pick Dolphins at 55. So it would be 55 in the 5th round, pick 158 for pick 59. So sliding down 4 spots to pick up a 3rd round pick in 2025. In 2025.
4 slots. Depends on who's on the board.
Correct. So of those who were on the board, I didn't write down all of them. There were 2.
You only had 1 trade offer? Nobody liked you?
In the 2nd round, yeah.
I got 2.
In the 2nd round?
Yeah.
Well, I got 3 in the 1st, and you only got 2. So there.
Oh, okay. All right.
There were two guys who stood out to me in that second round. One of whom was, oh God, I'm going to butcher his name, Ororu, the defensive tackle from Clemson, as a possibility.
Okay.
You took him in the first round, I didn't, so he would be intriguing to me. The one I picked is because he's a man crush, and to me, he starts at nickel immediately. That's Mike Sanders-Still from Michigan, who I love, who gives me major Honey Badger vibes.
Okay.
Just ball hawk, playmaker, fabulous instincts.
Wow.
And it would continue the trend of selecting a player from a national championship winner.
Wow. Okay. I see what you did there. Okay. Interestingly enough, I had two offers for pick number 55. Kansas City came at me again. Second time they've come at me. They wanted to trade pick number 64 to me, which I believe is the final pick in the first round. Is that the final pick in the first round?
Which one?
64. Yeah, it's got to be the final pick in the first round. And then pick 64 for 55 and pick number 158. They wanted to give me 64 and pick number 95. Now, I would seriously consider that trade, with the exception of I got a better offer from the Washington.
Keep talking. I'll be right back here.
Got a better offer from the Washington Commanders, who for pick number 55 and then pick number 241, I believe that's the pick. 241, which is the Miami Dolphins' last pick in the 7th round. The Washington Commanders offered me pick number 67, which would be in the 3rd round, and pick number 100. Now, considering all I had to do is throw in a 7th round pick, I would be moving out of the 2nd and getting an early pick in the 3rd and then in the 4th. I would actually do that trade. And I know it probably seems like the Kansas City trade would be better because you get earlier picks, but I would like a pick in where I would like 2 picks in where I feel the meat of the draft is. And the meat of the draft to me is in rounds 2 through 4, maybe early 5. And with the Kansas City trade, I'd have to give up a 5th round pick to get back a 4th. And I didn't really feel that. With this pick, with the Washington trade, I move out of the 2nd, get an early 3rd, and then get a 4th. And I like that. I like that a lot. However, I would not do either of those trades from this standpoint. A player on my man crush list was sitting there on my board. Man crush list will come out soon. And Cam Kitchens from University of Miami. You know, I've been talking. Yes, I said it. Yes. I believe when we look back at this draft class of 2024, you will, without a doubt, see Cam Kitchens' name and wonder to yourself, how did that guy go in the 2nd or 3rd round?
Yeah. Hold on. 4/24/24. Omar predicts greatness for Kitchens. I'm writing it down for posterity.
Listen, playmaking, instincts, not the greatest size, ball skills, scheme diverse, durability, except for the little neck injury he had last season. I'm a big believer in Cam Kitchens. He's on my man crush list, and I fundamentally believe that the best approach to taking a draft is draft the players you think will be stars, draft the players you think are going to be pace setters, getting that next contract. They're going to push to get top 5 salary, get to be the Christian Wilkins or the Javon Hollins or the Jalen Phillips. If you got to worry about $100 million deal with that player in 4 or 5 years, that's who you draft. And I believe that Cam Kitchens is going to be that safety. He's going to be that player. I would love to team him with Javon Holland. If Javon Holland prices himself out of Miami, which I think is a very strong possibility considering he's Christian Wilkins Jr., I am riding with Cam Kitchens as his potential replacement. No doubt about it. So I'm not trading down. I'm making the selection, and I'm picking up a man crush player.
As well, you should. What's the point of a mock draft if you can't pick? See, and I picked a man crush too. Mine is
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, so I can't. Can't fault you for that. Fifth round, you want to go first?
Yeah. I made the decision to force Alan Poupard, who didn't want to do the late round draft picks, because who knows who those guys are, and that includes me. I'm just leaning on a lot of the people that we've talked to on the All Dolphins podcast, and maybe some names that guys have thrown out at me. You should look up this guy or look into this guy. At that point, I made Poupard do these late round selections because I think it's a good exercise to see what exactly is left in the draft. And there was nothing left for me. At that point, I was just picking some of the best players, probably at a position of need. So I picked Oregon safety, Ketan Ojuladapo.
You should have taken somebody like John Smith or something to make it easier.
Oh, and I took a total Hawaiian team. Like I did pick number 184, where I took a Utah offensive guard, Sato Polynesian.
There you go.
I took a Washington offensive lineman, Zion Polynesian. At 180 at just the later round picks. I'm a heavy Samoan draft right now. I'm getting to some brethren.
There you go. Nothing wrong with taking care of your QB. I had a trade offer for the fifth round pick. You believe that?
Look at you, Mr. Popular.
Yeah, fifth round pick 158 plus one of the seventh round picks 241 for picks number 168. This was from New Orleans. Pick 168 and pick 190, which I believe would be late fifth round and then early sixth round, I would imagine.
Do it.
But we're not allowed. There were three players that were semi-intriguing for me at 158. And you think I just like slacked it off. One of whom you would draft him for the genes, partly. Brendan Rice, wide receiver from USC, son of Jerry Rice. And then the other one is Jordan Jefferson, defensive tackle from LSU. And I wrote about this at the time of the combine. Coached by the new Dolphin assistant defensive line coach, whose name escapes me right now, with apologies to the gentleman. It was him, Mason Smith, and Mekhi Wingo, who are three draft-eligible defensive tackles from LSU, who all will be drafted. And that familiarity, because of the new assistant defensive line coach, could come into play. That's not who I picked, however. I went with a interesting pick for me. Quantez Stiggers, cornerback, did not play college, played in the Canadian Football League, was the rookie of the year, had 5 picks, then had a pro day, blew it up at the pro day, and then Dolphins brought him in for a 30 visit. And his backstory is his father died in a car accident as he was about to enter his freshman season. That affected him like deeply, as obviously it should. And then he wanted nothing to do with college football. His mom eventually talked him into trying out for an indoor football league in Atlanta, played well enough. The coach there had some contacts in the CFL, goes to play for Toronto, and then kills it. Intriguing athlete, and at 158 to me, certainly worth a shot. And then we get to 184. And yes, I made a pick at 184. I went with family ties. Not that it's a massive need at inside linebacker, but I selected from Ohio State linebacker Tommy Eichenberg. If you remember, if you recognize the last name, yes, he is Liam Eichenberg's brother. And then for good measure, we can sign as a UDFA to his younger brother, Taulia from Maryland.
Okay, if you want to, go ahead. So that's it for the simulation of our mock drafts. I'm going to encourage everybody to do their own. No trades allowed. No trades allowed. I'm going to put up my mock draft and see how people, whether they approve or disapprove. I encourage Alan Poupard to put up his mock draft, see how they approve, disapprove. So, and looking forward to tomorrow. It's Christmas Day, people. Christmas Day. What is your bold prediction for what's going to happen on draft day? Dolphin fans going to walk away angry, excited.
Here's my prediction: every team is going to select the highest player rated on their board. Excited to have him. Considered making a trade, but didn't find enough value. That you know that's how it goes. My prediction is I'm still of the belief they're going to wind up trading down, and that's almost my hope. I think they need to recoup. Okay.
I initially agreed with that until I looked at the history of trade downs based on the work that you did for si.com/NFL/Dolphins. The story that you did changed my life because it kind of discouraged me that, hey, stop focusing on trade down and make the best of a bad situation. So let's just hope that they end up with a player who can potentially be a starter in his first 30 NFL games. Doesn't have to be his rookie season, but at some point elevates himself into a starting role on a consistent basis.
Doesn't have to start right away, at least contribute a little bit on offense or defense. That would be,
what's supposed to have a completely healthy offensive line and make it through 17 games like the Buffalo Bills did, and where they didn't suffer any injuries.
So that would mean you would be taking like somebody who doesn't convert to guard, or somebody not good enough to beat out the current contenders for that position.
Liam Eichenberg and Isaiah
Jones, Jack Driscoll,
Isaiah Wynn,
Lester Cotton, Isaiah Wynn on the other side. I'm assuming Isaiah Wynn's going to start.
It ain't Lester Cotton.
Well, I'm just telling you the contenders. I'm not even including Isaiah Wynn because to me, Isaiah Wynn's going to wind up starting at left guard.
I don't know about that. If they draft one of these early round transition to guards, Graham Barton could beat out Isaiah Wynn, in my opinion.
Well, if he's everything he's supposed to be, yes, he should. But is he Isaiah Wynn right now? If you're projecting your starting five right now, is Isaiah Wynn the weak link?
No, it would be the right guard spot.
Okay.
But I think, okay, I see what you're saying there. I could give that some consideration.
Thoughtful of you.
Yeah, Driscoll and Eichenberg and Robert Jones. I think they're all going to give whoever the young rookie, stiff competition. I think they got to be top shelf athlete. So I think if you're not looking at a top shelf athlete at offensive guard, I think you're looking at a third day selection for the offensive guard. But what we're learning from these mock drafts is don't expect an offensive lineman to be there in the second round, because there won't be. It's feast or famine. You pick a guard, and then there's only top shelf defensive linemen, defensive tackles.
But here's the thing.
I mean, there's very few top shelf defensive tackles. Everybody else is okay.
Correct. And you don't need, but you also don't need to force a guard beyond round one, because again, is that player going to be that much of an upgrade over the current contenders for the job?
That's true. That's true. So you just taking a straight up backup left tackle?
No, I don't think. No, I'm just saying don't force the need if the player is not there. Is basically what I'm saying.
Okay.
The Dolphins don't have to come out of this draft with an offensive lineman, despite what I'm hearing. Other than the fact that to protect them long term. I mean, for this year specifically. I think they can function with what they have. What they need to worry about, though, is that after next season, Kendall Lamb's gone, and chances are Teron Armstead might be gone as well. So.
Kendall Lamb, Teron Armstead, Isaiah Wynn, Liam Eichenberg.
Yeah, but I'm
Robert Jones.
I'm focusing on tackle.
Okay, all right. Well, fine, folks. That's it for this version of the All Dolphins podcast. I will be hosting the Joe Rose Show tomorrow from 8 to 10. Looking forward to it. Leading up to the draft. Draft is a fun experiment, folks, and fun opportunity to restock your shelves. And let's hope that the Dolphins go grocery shopping and actually have some success and don't end up buying dented cans. All right, folks. We will see you tomorrow.